Alright, Thoughtbox 10. I attempted to do one like just before this one and didn't turn out well. I think this one is going to be about seasons. I kind of touched on it a little bit in previous ones, but I'm going to devote a whole Thoughtbox to seasons. I think a lot of the problems we have comes from being out of season. Um, there's a time for things, and we know this. We know this, but it's like neuroses. You know that turning your your plate twice before you eat don't really do anything, but you can't stop yourself from doing it. It's a compulsion. It's like that. We know there's a time for things. It's season for things, but we still try and do things out of season, subconsciously, unconsciously, consciously, whatever. You know, and it leads to problems inevitably. Like sometimes there's a season of rest. Of rest. It's just you're supposed to rest now, recharge, renew. You know, hibernate. Replenish. Now, there's a couple things in that now. A bear doesn't just say, "Oh, okay, hibernation time, I finish." No, you prepare for it. When animals go into that whole hibernation phase, they prepare for it. They eat to excess. They store things because they know they're gonna be eating like that. They could be resting. They could be sleeping. They could be on the ground. They could be away from sources of food in the wild anyway. They find a safe place, store up food, energy, whatever, and they chill for a bit. So the season of hibernation is preceded by a season of gathering, a time anyway, maybe not a whole season, but a time of gathering and preparation. You know, you can't over prepare or you miss your hibernation. You can't hibernate too long or you run out of into your storage and you die. You know, and then after you hibernate, that's the big thing. Then what? You need to go back to doing your work. You know, work is awesome. Hibernation is awesome. Preparation, actually, too, is awesome. Because it's like remember the story of the grasshoppers and the ants. The winter was coming and the grasshoppers wasn't really preparing like that. They didn't even care. They was doing whatever. They were not good at preparation, while the ants were. So preparation is a whole thing, not a small deal. It's a survival thing, if you think about it. But yeah, seasons, man. There's a time to hold on to things. There's a time for that. You know, it's a time to cling, to keep things close, to hold things there. There's a time for that. There's a time to let things go. But we know about that. You know, we know about that. I bring up to the whole things close thing, the hold on to things part, because a lot of parents don't do that with their children. So they say, okay, well, I have to work right now, so I can have a better life for my kids when they grow up. But it's like they can have all of the stuff and things and equipment in the world, but if that connection, that love isn't there, they could be ill prepared for life, and so all those things could be squandered and abused and thrown away and rotten, and negates the whole thing that you're doing because you was out of season. You were prepping out of season. That it's more you're prepping in a way. You're prepping one side of it, so it's more storing just food but no water. You know, You can find some liquid and some apples and oranges and stuff, but you want water at a certain point. You know what I mean? So it's more ill preparation, more than a case of non-preparation. There's a time to hold people close. There's a time for that, and you need to do it. You can't do it out of season. You can't neglect them and just work, and then when they get older, then decide to cling on to them. No, it's out of season. It's out of season. It's out of season. It's in the wrong time frame, and it doesn't work out. It, it doesn't work out, and it spreads. It spreads like a plague, and devours everyone, and it perpetuates itself because those kids are ill prepared will be the same way. They won't prepare their children better, although they think they will and they say they will, but that's not how it works. You could say, I'll not do this because my parents did this and I hate them or I hate what they did, so I won't do it. But you end up doing it anyway. It's ingrained. As much as we hate it, we do what our parents teach us through action and words. It's a principle. It's a principle. One, that we have some of that DNA, so it's genetic, and two, it's nurture. I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah, you have to choose not to do it, and even then, it's a reaction to what you've seen and what you learn. So either way, they're affecting you and how you operate as a human being. Either way, you can't escape it. You can't get away. You can't get away. You know, we are our parents' children. It's just what it is. But yeah, seasons, man. Time. Time is interesting. Because how do you measure time? It's very subjective. If we didn't have clocks, if we didn't say this is what a measure of a second is, if we didn't have that, right? And we just went on our own natural time, we'd all be like late for things, early for things, whatever, because our internal clocks are different. We experience, because that's the thing. Time is of Earth, of this dimension. We are partly out of this dimension. We are part flesh, part spirit. So it's a dichotomy thing. We're eternal and infinite, but we're finite and mortal too. And so it's this push and pull thing, this strange limbo thing we have, and I think it applies to seasons too, and why sometimes we fall on that, because like we go by a clock. From this age to this age you do this, and from this to this you do this, and so we live by someone else's eternal clock, not our own. So there's a disconnect, and that leads to problems too. Now it could be like the bonsai tree where, if it grows by itself, you don't prune it. It just grows. It grows into anything. Which is cool. But if you prune it and restrict it and stuff, it's beautiful too. It's a different type of beauty. It's a different type of exercise there, to fall into someone else's time. There's something to be said for being able to do that. It shows real strength, I think. Dependence. See, that's the thing. Everything, you can't just say things at face value, because it's also a weakness. When people just say, okay, well, screw my time because I can't handle it. I go on this person's time because it's easier. That's weakness. So nothing's just whatever. You have to look at things from different angles, and you have to look at what the internal abuse is of anything that you talk about. like holding on to things. It could be the positive thing I was mentioning. It could also be like people who hoard things. You know, so it's funny when people compare things. They'll compare the best of the thing that they like to the worst of the thing that they don't like, and that's unfair. You can't get a real reading of the differences, the advantages and disadvantages of different things if you comparing them on an unbalanced scale. It's yeah. There's there's a time to laugh, and it might not be on other people's time. This that might be on your own time. In that I mean, if you have to laugh, laugh. If someone feel away, oh well. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. There's a time to laugh, and there's a time to cry. When you neglect either one of those things, they burst out by themselves. I mean, it's like one of those the plants that grow through the cement thing. You know what I mean? It will grow. It will do. It will exist. It will be out. It will. Now it's up to you to either do it when it's supposed to, or have it surprise you. You know what I mean? It's a time to be silent. This is a tough one for a lot of people. It's a time to just be quiet. You don't even necessarily have to like think on no, just to be quiet, to be silent. Whatever's supposed to happen in that silence can happen. You know, it's time to be loud. This is something that I struggle with. But there is a time to be boisterous and loud and out there and crazy. There's a time for that. Once again, when you neglect it, it builds up and it explodes. You can't really control an explosion like that. So be wary of it, man. Is this a time? It's a time to be alone. A lot of people say I can't be. I have a friend who can't be alone. I have a couple actually that can't be alone, and I understand on a level. On a level I don't, but on a level I do understand. But once again, it gets into the abuse of it now, into the twisting of it, because it's like, why can't you be alone? What is it about yourself that you can't stand to be around, that you have to be distracted from? You know what I mean? It's time to be around people. It's a time to touch. It's nothing I struggle with. And it's a time to refrain from touching. And that's tricky. Because when you do either at the wrong time, it's bad. It's bad. You know. I wonder if there is a time to kill. I wonder though. Because it's unnatural in a way. But in a way it's the most natural thing of all. If you really look at nature. If you look at the seasons are natural. So it comes back around. If you look at nature, I'm gonna say almost because I don't know every little thing, right? But almost everything that lives maintains its life through the death of something else, either directly or indirectly. Nature is a cruel, cruel thing. It's not fair. That's another thing. Nature isn't fair, At all, actually. It isn't fair at all. That's what people always say. Yeah, chaos and nature and it's fair. No, it's not. How is it fair? You use some arbitrary thing of, well, lightning can hit anybody, so it's fair. Okay, you look at that as being a fair balance thing. Okay. Consider a baby gazelle. Lions, when they hunt, they either go for the old, the infirm, or the young. It's the easier to catch. That's energy expended against more energy gained. You know what I mean? If they're eating to replenish energy. So if they're replenishing 10 energy and they only expend 5 catching it, they gain 5 energy. Right? It's not just equal, it's they gain. It's a profit, it's an energy profit. But how is that fair? For the children anyway. You could say the old is a detriment or a burden on the tribe because they eating and whatever, but they're not contributing anything. Okay. You say the same thing with the sick. What about the children? They're not contributing anything either, except the future of the tribe, I guess. Yeah, it's not like they exclusively hunt these things. I'm just saying they do hunt them from time to time. They do. But how is it fair? Survival of the fittest. That's what people who into that type of stuff always talk about. Okay. So I guess there's balance anyway. Maybe not fairness, but balance in that, sure. The people who arbitrarily got genes, circumstance, or whatever, get to survive. You know. Hmm. You can also look at it as the people who really press for things and you know get a go getter and all that stuff. They they survive too because they're the fittest in that aspect. But to me, it's a lottery system. I mean, like if you look at humans, right? Like someone who's very talented, that's a chance. That's not guaranteed. That's not that's not guaranteed. That's not genetic. It's a chance thing. So you win the lottery. If you're beautiful, you win the lottery. That's not fair. Because not anyone can be beautiful. It don't work that way. It's genetic. It's genetic chance. It's genetic roulette. You know, unless we get to a point where we could modify genes and stuff like that and create a child. You know, and we could probably get that way because we're we're scary people. But as it stands right now, the natural method, and you can say, "Oh, that's natural." Yeah, okay, whatever. The natural method, it's a lottery. You know, you look at if you look at evolution, right? Um, where something, a group in a group evolved something that prepared them for whatever happened next. That's chance. That's not survival of the fittest. They happen to get that mutation. That's chance. That's chaos. That's not fairness. That's chaos. And chaos isn't fair. That's the thing. Because you go back to the lightning thing and say, well, you know, lightning can hit anybody. So it's fair. I don't know. Is it fair? You know? Maybe I'm confusing fair with like justice in a way, you know? and balance with justice, where you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the exact way I'm gonna say this, but that's like saying someone has a gun and they go into a room, and it's fair because he could shoot. Like, he have one bullet, and he could shoot someone in the room, and it's random who he could pick, and it's fair. It's fair for everyone in that room because it's random who he's going to shoot. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't believe that, but I don't know. I have no counter argument or anything for it of why that don't sit well with me. Because it don't sit well, but I don't know why. I think perhaps in a future thought process I'll have the answer to that, but that just don't sit well with me. I don't know. I guess fairness isn't equal. Um, See, that's the word. That's the word there. That's the word I'm trying to get at. Um, it's not there. I don't have it. But whatever that word is, that's what having me stuck right now. That's why it's not sitting well with me because I equate this fairness thing to this word, and it don't match up. But yeah, seasons though, time. Speaking of time, maybe this isn't the time for me to have that, whatever that is. I force myself to try and think of it, and I've wasted time on this recording, trying to think of something that I'm not supposed to have right now. So that's a case in point, an object lesson right there of doing things out of time, out of season. Can't force it because it might even come, but not the way it's supposed to. That's the thing. You can genetically modify and all that stuff all you want to get to cheat nature and get the results you want. Every time you cheat, though, you lose somehow. That's the principle. Either equally or more than what you gain through cheating. That's definitely a principle. You never really enjoy what you get when you cheat to get it. You never feel really worthy deep down inside in that secret place where no one else allowed to go. Hmm? And you take off the drape off that picture of Dorian Gray, that's you, and you look at that, you see your ill-gotten gains. You see all the rotten food that you harvested because it's out of season. You see it then, and you can't unsee it. And you can't. If you destroy the portrait, you kill yourself. Maybe that's hell, huh? Just a thought.